welcome to PHCL 201. This is December 2023, and I'm addressing City Campus Group 2 class. I think the content should serve well, both all the groups, main campus and City Campus, to augment what you have had from the instructor, from the instructors for both groups, okay? So we are looking quickly at revision of what we did in person when we looked at Locke's consciousness patiently. That should be about 5 minutes, then we move on to the other. We saw what a person is. Recall, let me see if we can go there quickly. Yeah, so this is where we got to after all the discussions on John Locke. Please look on my screen now. We saw this. If you've forgotten everything, just look on this slide. You see consciousness, self-consciousness, and memory, the John Locke factor. How we establish what a person is, what makes a person distinct from the other person, and the same person over time. So continuity of consciousness, what establishes that. We also saw essentialism as one of the views underlining this notion of personal identity. When we start talking personal identity, then we are already assuming, look on my screen, please, now, as an essentialist thinking. Okay, that simply means we are saying that there is something in a person that makes a person what she or he is over time, such that when you take that something out of the person ceases to be what he or she is. Remember essentialism. So we went through that. Okay. As soon as you ask the question of identity, what identifies a person, it already presupposes that you are arguing from an essentialist position. Remember that also, okay? And so we saw the bodily criterion or the bodily solution, and then how Kant's view contrasts that because of the challenges we could have with the bodily solution. So we saw Kant's proposal and how he builds on, that's Kant here, builds on Descartes' view of duality and whatever. We've done a lot on Descartes from level 100 and so on. So the focus is, did I say Kant? I meant Locke. I've been doing a lot of Kant today. So Locke's view of consciousness, self-consciousness, and memory, and how we could critique that I could be conscious and not self-conscious. He said that in class, if you remember. I don't always remember. So if I forget, am I still the same person? Because what is establishing that continuity is my ability to remember that I am the same person that was conscious of myself yesterday. And I am also able to project. And so the thing is, if I forget, then am I the same person? By the logic of Locke's definition of the essential feature that defines a person's being. Okay, so that is a good summary for consciousness, self-consciousness, and memory. All those pictures of before and after that I projected in class. This slide is in your resource too already. Okay, so you can always refer to that. Those pictures only showed you the weaknesses associated with the bodily view. Let me just confirm if you can hear me, because I'm talking plenty. Can anyone hear me again? Let's be sure. Kelvin is here, Gipti is here, Victoria, Cyril. Cyril, can you all hear me, please? Emilia, Edwin, Abdurrashid, Joseph. Is it possible?
Yes, Doc, we can hear.
Okay, that's fine. So I continue. So that was a good summary I gave you on Locke and consciousness and the critique you can have. And so I've shared a recording on the interim assessment, so I'm sure you have seen it. It is important that you all, and you should prompt your colleagues, whoever receives this recording, engage the feedback on the interim assessment, because that is the content you've done so far, and you will see them in the exam again in an extended version. Okay, so if you're able to get the core things that were touched on in the interim assessment, then it helps you build an essay around those things. Okay, so tell your colleagues, and then you yourself be properly informed. Now, the discussion that we were to have previously. It's also a very simple, it's straightforward, it's not too complex. Okay. On the Akan concept of a person. What is a person? Okay. On my screen now, very quickly. Person in Akan thought. Akan. Some African philosophy, okay, to bring some light to all the discussions we've had. We've seen Descartes, we've seen Plato, we keep seeing non-African conceptions of the person. And so mind, Descartes says man is a thinking thing, you know. So what do the Akans, why Akans? A good representation of our African version of person is what we are looking at. What is a person? Person in account of, should we think of a person as a body with a brain? Brain is physical. So is it all about just body and brain? People who no. If a person dies out, nothing beyond these physiological parts of a person? Or do persons have something beyond the physiological, the one you can touch and smell? You see, remember the mind-body problem of a kind, mind-body problem. Is human person something beyond mind and body? Excuse me, beyond body, or there is nothing beyond the body that you see, okay? That's why I took you to a bit of log. I have referenced mind-body problem, which was Article 1 Descartes, all seemingly touching on aspects of the discussion. What do the Akan say? Do we have a spiritual soul which is separate from the body? Kwame Gyekye, on the Akan conception of a person. Kwame Gyekye is an emeritus professor, a renowned African thinker. You have met him from level 100, okay? And we think that he's an authority enough to speak to some metaphysical conceptions of what it is for the Akan to say so and so is a person. Okay? But there will always be different perspectives. Look at the gospel of the Bible. Look at how Matthew presents his gospel and how Mark does and how Luke and John does. Luke doesn't even talk of some of the narratives. John doesn't talk about some of the narratives of the Bible at all, like the parables and what have you, the storytelling. No, he seems to be interested in a revelation of the deity of Christ. If you do look at the book of John, okay. Meanwhile, they are all gospels, seemingly giving you an understanding of the life and the whatever of Jesus. Okay, but how they present it varies. Sometimes people even think they see contradictions. I don't, but that is another discussion. It is just how they write. One, depending on his or her orientation. I'm using that analogy to show you something on this slide, so don't lose track. Okay. Some based on their orientation, they write. So Matthew, for example, or maybe Mark, or I think it's Matthew, it will be almost apologies pedestrian, like Jesus fed plenty people, plenty, multitudes, you can't even count. But the meticulous Luke, who was a physician, I think, if I'm right, would take his time and give details and say the people were not 70, he sent 72 out in case. So I'm just showing you that the same story, the same metaphysical framework, the same understanding, the same Akan thought of who a person is, has been rendered differently by different people because of how they conceptualize it. And yet they are all authorities. So you see that Uredu, for example, or the other African author, still speaking about Akan, I will just remember shortly. Because our focus is on Kwame Gyekye, I have not bothered to reference those other ones. Okay, they have different interpretations or conceptualizations of what they think their, reflection on Akan thought presents the Akan thought of a person. Okay, they are all reflecting on Akan thought. But someone will say, when I look at this and this and this about Akan philosophical thinking, I think the Akans have a dualist understanding of who a person is dual too. Another person might say, no, I don't see that. I see a tripartite understanding of personhood in Akan thought. That is why I want to give you the analogy with the disciples of Jesus, who all are said to have followed him, but yet when they wrote the Gospels, I think Luke only took from someone else, so it wasn't a direct disciple. When they wrote it down, they represented what they think of him by laying emphasis on what they see. With that understanding, we can then rely to a large extent on what Kwame Dechi says about what the Akan conception of the person. Let me pause for a question. Any question? Who will read for me then? Very good. If you want to read, please put your hand up very quickly so that we mop up nicely. I want you to understand from the lecture because it's not any heavy content at all. It's just for you to see some cases. Very quickly, please. No one wants to read, or you are still raising your hand. The raising hand tab is up there. I see John's hand. Any other person, put all the hands up. You won't get tired online when you raise your hand. John, I hope you are well. We'll have a discussion later. Okay. Then I see John Bosco's hand as well. Only 2 people. Okay. Let's have John. John, read for me very quickly. Then we can take John as well from Bosco. But I want John, class rep, to read first. Go ahead.
Okay. Kwame Dechi on the Akan conception of a person. According to the Akan conception of a person is made up of 2 principal entities or substances: the spiritual, immaterial, or kra, that's the soul, with sunsum, the spirit. The material, which is hunam, or the body.
Well done. That's well read. So the spiritual, now that we have done mind and matter, you will know what we mean when we say immaterial. It means what the Akan would call spiritual. Remember, the word spiritual is not an Akan word. So we are just trying to find the closest interpretation of what the Akan means. And that is what we use spiritual to represent. But for us to capture exactly what the Akan means, you have to use the Akan's language because soon. Look, if I say abefo ifidi, like the Akan uses that expression to represent computer, abefo ifidi. There are a lot of abefo ifidi. Abefo means, current people, modern people's machine. that could mean so many things. You see that? So the language, and later on, maybe level 400, you will see what really says about language and its power and why we must decolonize the language. Now let's roll back. So we are just using the words as approximations. They don't capture, the English versions don't capture exactly and fully and wholly, you see, what the Akan means when he says okra. Okra is not exactly what, let's say, Plato or Descartes means when they say so, but it is a good approximation, at least for starters. Okay, so we use that word and its Akan version so that you can clearly know. So soon may not necessarily be spirit. We say he's a spirited person. Perhaps we are not capturing what the Akan means when he says or Papa we oh soon pa. This man has soon pa, or this girl's. When I saw him, my soon ran away from me. You see, so we use that. Now according to Jechi, then there are 2 principal entities or substances. You see that the word substance has come back? Mind, body, problem, substance. The spiritual or the immaterial part, and for Jechi. So the referencing must be clearly done because maybe we are reading Luke's version, the gospel according to Luke. The gospel according to John. There's a reason why you have to show us whose version of the gospel you are referencing, because it might not be an exact representation of the other person, even though the gospel is the same, the emphasis may not be the same, and the rendition, how the person is rendering it, may not be the same. And I've said that already. And so according to Kwame Dechi, who is our reference point here, the spiritual or the immaterial part is one of the that I can't conceive of a human person, that human person has an immaterial part, a part that you can equate as the spiritual part. And if you think that is too far away, then use the language that the people call the accounts use, okra. And he says that okra comes with the sunsu. Okra no any sunsu lebu. So the okra, look at the egg, boiled egg now, okay? Every symbolism I'm giving you for a reason. I'll refer to it later. The boiled egg. It has the yolk inside, the albumin around it, and then the eggshell. 3 layers. the yolk, the yellow part, depending on the type of egg, sometimes orange. The white one, I said boiled egg, so that you can easily connect. And then the eggshell. Redu says, what? Hey, why am I saying Redu like this? 417. I'm teaching plenty courses in the day. Kwame Dechi says, if you take a human person in a Akan thought, it has two main principal parts. If you bought egg at the watch sellers and you were in high, so you say, you give me the egg, don't peel it, give it to me. When you come, you will peel the shell. Think of the shell as the body, the material part, the honam. Okay, you peel it and put it down. When you finish, what you are holding is the egg. And so that is the second part. There are two parts. The honam, the body throughout, and then the egg proper. That is the soul. But do you realize that inside the egg proper, the whole egg, boiled egg you are holding, inside it is the yolk. The yolk is not the albumin, but the two together is called what? Egg. That is what you eat. Yet you can separate the yolk from the egg when it comes to what they do. But the two together, I said the yolk from the egg, the yolk from the albumin, but the two together is what you call the egg. So what you do is, Jechi is saying there are two parts, principal parts. Okra with susu, egg white, or if you like, egg which has the yolk and the shell. I have taken time to explain that because another author would think that no, they are three separate parts. Jechi doesn't think so. He holds a dualist view of Akan conception. That is why some have criticized him that his view seems to be heavily influenced by Western thinking. Descartes, for example, mind-body problem. Okay, so the problem that Descartes have to deal with, he also has to deal with that in his conceptualization of Akan thought of a person. Very good. Go ahead, John. Class rep.
Okay. The constitutive elements of a person. Sunsum. Characteristics and functions of Sunsum. 1. Active part of the soul. 2. Non-physical. 3. Is divine and immortal. 4. Actor in dreams and subject of dream experiences. 5. The basis of man's personality and the active force of a person's psychological system. Characteristics, evidence in a person's behavior. Has extra sensory power, thinks, desires, imagines, etc. Moral predicates are generally applied to the Sunsum.
Very good. I don't think any of these need explanation. It's just English. So there is a part of the society. There's a part of the okra of a person, which is active. It is the one that we see in dreams, says Jechi, and his reflection and his gathering of data on the account. Folks, he says that Akan's think that it is your sunsum that you see in your dream, not your shadow. We are not, yes, sunsuma. But your sunsum is the one that dreams. Is the one that, so you say this man has what in English you say charisma. When he's a police, look at ex-president J.J. Rowling. He has charisma. So boy, that everybody is steady. Maybe in the Akan language, we say, oh, when he stands, he commands. Some would say it's aura. You see, the personality and the active force of a person's what psychological system. That is the point there. That is also divine and immortal. So the Sunsum doesn't die, according to Akan thought, from Jechi's perspective. Okay, it has extra sense. That is the part that desires. That is the part that imagines, that thinks, says Jechi. Moral predicates are applied to the Sunsum. How about the okra? Remember, the collective is okra. Inside okra, or as part of the okra, which is the entity, is what? The Sunsum. if you think it's getting confusing, look at the full egg, boiled egg. I told you, the body is the shell. That way you can take it off. But the egg, when you say the egg, boiled egg that is on your food, it is so wet. It's okra with sunsum, which is what? Albumin with yolk. But the two together is the egg. So the immaterial part of a person is okra with sunsum. Which is this one to say again, classroom. Next slide, another person will lead it. Go ahead.
The characteristics and functions of the okra, that's the soul. One,
Yes.
the principle of life. It is responsible for giving and sustaining life.
Good.
Two, the embodiment and transmitter of a person's destiny.
Very
Three,
important.
non-physical,
Mhm.
non-physical or immaterial.
Good.
5, it derives from God, conceived as an indwelling spark of God.
Very good. The
It is
last
the
one.
okra. It is the okra that causes breathing.
Well done. So if you look at this one, you see that the okra influence has left him. It means he's dead. But if I say his sunsum has run away from it, it means I am frightened. Or like the thing scared me. Hey, I saw this guy, the way he raised it, hey, let me sunsum in it means my sunsum, the active part of me became dormant, docile. I got scared. See that? Hey, Paddy with your sunsum power. Let's get someone who has sunsum to lead the jama. Hey, it's a mora, hey, to it's a sunsum. We are trying to stir up. So it's a psychological, that's the sunsum, the spirited part of us. Huh? This, but when we say okra, according to Akan from Jechi's perspective, okra is the one that transmits destiny. We have done free will and determinism. So see the connection. Destiny, what a person is destined to be. So you will see that we can ask a very crucial question here. If a person's okra has underwritten on it the destiny of the person, then where does free will come in? Destiny, which is written in the okra, the life-giving part of a person. Take note of that. How do you reconcile the two? Is shebre the same as nkrabia? If you don't speak Akan, no worries. So a lot of people don't understand the plenty English we are speaking. They've managed that all these 9 weeks. So don't worry. Shebre, okra, nkrabia. Some think of one as what? Shebre, what you said before. No, shebre, so what you have been assignment. Okay, and then in Krabia, what you went to tell them, who didn't cram. So you when you were leaving, you said, okay, I'm going to Ed, I'll be back. When I go, I'll do this and do that and do that. You went to tell them, who didn't cram. Now, so when you were going, you said, when I go, I want to do this and that. So some even think of that as what a choice you made before coming. When I go, the way I see this world and all the problems, I don't want to be a mother. No. I want to be a woman and enjoy all the benefits of marriage, but I don't like to be a mother. So where I'll have plenty children and be champion all over the place. No, I want to enjoy my life. So I don't want to have any children. Me didn't cry. That is what I chose. And then the shebre is what I was assigned. There's a rendition of that kind of tradition when you hear it. Okay. So one of your seniors was writing a paper or something on death in Caribbean something. As long as you are an influencer. Well, if you are interested, you can send me a message. I'll look for the person so you can discuss with them because it has implications on that. When we did log on consciousness, I prompted it could have implications for reincarnation if the person can go and come. In other words, if the body changes, but the thing that makes a person who he or she is not the body, but it's something else outside the body. Then maybe John the Baptist really was Elijah. It's just a change of body, but body doesn't define the person. Then when Jesus said, "You people are still waiting for Elijah," Elijah has come already. And Bible said he was referencing John the Baptist. Perhaps Jesus was speaking a version of reincarnation, a version of Lockean interpretation of what person. That personhood is not the body. So when someone says, this small girl sitting there, this one there, his grandmother has come back, that person is also speaking Locke consciousness. Maybe the same way we see something having to do with free will and determinism on the notion and understanding of what okra in Akan thought, because according to Jechi, it is the embodiment and the transmitter of a person's destiny. So your kra is not my kra. Obi kra, if you listen to those who speak tree, somebody's kra. In other words, he came with something. You hear that song? It is not his eye. It's not him. He is destined to be that. And therefore, when we start speaking that way, then we have connotations of what predestination, predeterminism, not necessarily determinism, but predeterminism may be hovering around it. So that bit of a person, which is immaterial and divine, your friend said, is a sign of the indwelling spark of Onyankopon, the creator, God, in the person. And so a human person, by this philosophy of it, the concept of a person, a human person is not like the stone. No. Every human person, according to Akan thought, is dignified. That sounds like Kant. Human person has dignity. You treat them as an end because of what they have inside in the okra, which is actually God in man, a spark of God in man. So every man has a connection with God. And that is why we respect the human person, we treat the human person with dignity because of the component of him, immaterial, divine, the transmitter of the person's destiny, the embodiment and the life-giving principle of the person. All that is in the concept of okra. Okra and Sunsum together on my screen now. And so John Bosco read now for thank you, class rep. The okra and Sunsum together are the immaterial part of the human person. And so we want to see if they are both immaterial. Remember, the albumin, the egg white, and the yolk are both the edible part of the egg. The shell, we don't eat, we throw it away. So if they are both immaterial, what is the difference, if any? And remember, Jechi doesn't make them two different entities. He says they are one, two in one. Okay? So the immaterial is one, the material is one. The material part of a human person is the body. The immaterial part of the human person is the okra with sunsum. So he thinks of the okra sunsum thing like a two-in-one immaterial. So collectively they are one. And then the honam, which is the body, is also one. That is why the cheese rendition of the concept of a person is a dualist one. It's not a tripartite. You don't split okra and sunsum and create two different substances from there before adding the body. That will create three things, three substances. The says no, there are two substances. A material one, which is body, and then an immaterial one, which is okra, but which comes with what? Sunsum. Very good. Now must go read this one. Very good, very good.
Thank you very much. Relation of okra into brackets soul and sunsum into brackets spirit. 1. Sunsum and okra come from the supreme being. 2. Ontologically, sunsum and okra are not two separate entities. Sunsum and okra constitute a spiritual unity. Sunsum is part of okra, the active part of okra, into brackets soul.
Very good. Very good. I've said
3.
all that, so I'm not elaborating. Continue. Yes.
But logically and functionally, they are distinct. Sunsum and okra are not identical. So logically, whatever can be asserted of one cannot be asserted of the other. 4.
Very good.
For
Continue.
example, moral moral predicates are generally applied to sunsum but not okra. That is or sunsumpa or sunsumpa
Very good. Owosunsumpa. Yes, she has a good
sunsumpa.
spirit. Mhm.
Okay. Into bracket, she or he has a good spirit. Usually said of someone who is generous. If you use kra in lieu of sunsum, that is nekraye, the
Good.
soul is good. Usually refer to a person who is lucky or fortunate. The meanings of these two statements are different.
Well done. I think you read it very well. Hold on. Let me emphasize some few things. Friends, so listen. These are very important because they are interconnected to the other discussions we've had and they apply. You see how sometimes someone's even political ambition is undermined. Because people say, oh, this man doesn't have susu. Like if he's standing there, the people will be held as skelter. There will be no discipline. You see, at that time, when we use the susu, we mean she's generous, like you have seen. Oh, susu, pa. But when we say in the cry, yeah, or he has good or cry, it is something else you are saying. You are saying then that the person is fortunate. Fortune is not something the person does. See, it's something the person is or has. Excuse me, I just blessed you. Yeah? It's something the person is. Remember, we said the okra is the career, the embodiment of what a person's destiny. Whose version are we looking at? Read Jechi, according to Akan. According to Jechi, what Akan's believe. So if we say, hey, wait, any cry you, it means we are just saying this person there was lucky, was fortunate because he didn't contribute to that. It is something describing the soul, the cry. But when we say oh, it's a moral predicate. It is something you did. That is why some people qualify into ancestorship, others don't. That's why we talk of some people as radio, you need papa. This person there is a person. I don't even know how to say it in English. He's a real person. We are all human beings. I say, oh, this man, papa, we need power. The people you are talking to, are they animals? No. You are just using that to express a moral predication. But there is something about this, the way he helps people there. I remember when my school fees issue came by, the way this woman, oh, this woman here, any papa is a moral predicate. That one is addressing a susu, not a okra. So the point then is, even though ontologically is talking about their being, what they are. Come in. Ontology means their being. When you are asking of what they are, it is a one thing, like orange. When you have an orange, the seed is inside. So when you give me orange, you have given me the seed as well. Okay. And so the two together are one. Ontologically means the being, they are one. But functionally, I'll ask you questions from here. So you have to hear what I'm saying very well and then make a note of it. Functionally, they are not the same. What the sunsum does and what the okra does, therefore, are not the same. And that will mean that logically, what you can say of the sunsum, you may not necessarily be able to say of the okra. There are criticisms that can be raised though. Like every other issue can be criticized. Just understand what Yechi says the Akan conception is first, and then we can continue. If there is any question, I would like to take it. If not, John Bosco, please go ahead. Read the next half.
Okay. Functionally, okra and sunsum appear to perform different activities. 2. Okra is a principle and sustainer of a person's life. For instance, the departure of the soul from the body results in death, whereas the spirit can leave the body and come back. Bracket, as in dreaming. 3. Okra is the embodiment and transmitter of a person's destiny. Bracket in Krabia, whereas Sunsum is the basis of a person's character and personality. Example, or Sunsum into bracket refers to a dignified or honorable person.
much. Very good, Bosco. So if you look on the screen, we have said this already. Give me yours. I'll save it. Put it. Functionally, we have said that Akan and Sunsum perform, or they appear to perform different functions. Okay, we have just said that. And then Okra is the principal and sustainer of a person's life. We have said that also. The departure of the soul from the body results in death. But the Sunsum can live and come back. It will not lead to death, like what happens in dreaming or when I scare you. The Sunsum can run away from you and come back. Says Jechi. Sunsum create journey from me. Okay, it will run and come back. Okra is the embodiment and transmitter of a person's destiny. We said that in Krabia. In Krabia. Bibia Udi in Krabia. Whereas Sunsum is the basis of a person's what? Character and personality. Character, you choose it. That's why you are accountable. When you work on your character, we will applaud you for that and say you have become an ancestor. We will give you venerable positions in society. See that? But we don't do that for the okra that you have. Okay? Personality, character, Sunsum. Both of them immaterial. The last one, say Bosco.
Characteristics of the Honam. Characteristics
It's
of the
Honam.
the
Hey,
body.
Bruni, are you a white man? Characteristics of the Honam. Hey, right. Don't worry, God, it's of the Honam. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. 1. The body is the material component of a person.
Good.
2. It is a physical and mortal. It is a physical and mortal. That's perishable.
Yes.
It is composed of the flesh, blood, bones, and other internal organs.
Exactly. Okay. That one, I don't think we have to explain too much. The physical body. So if we are referencing our egg analogy, the boiled egg analogy, it's just the shell, which will have the white, I don't know how you call that, I've forgotten. But that white, who knows that, bro? If you don't know, you know. After removing the shell, you see that there will be another one that will be obstructing each of the egg. They are all ball. It's part of the one that we dispose of. It's perishable. Okay. Always take note, material substance, matter, you can touch it. Okra, soul, and the others have all the immateriality that we know from mind body problem. Now we want to quickly look at the relation of Okra and Honam. Then the next half of our discussion will focus on certainty, knowledge and certainty. Thank you so much, John Bosco. I'll take Lady Vicky now, Victoria and Tim, and then we'll come to Gifty Zonra. Gifty now, I can make you out. I remember. I think I even saw you on campus days back. Am I right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I've done well. Now I can remember. Okay, let's take Victoria first, then I can read Gifty. I can allow Gifty to read. Victoria, go ahead. Hey, Vicky. Oh, you didn't want to read it? Okay, you are reading now. Go ahead. I cannot hear you, so I don't know if others can hear you, but I can't. If not, then we can let Gifty read whilst you organize yourself. Is it okay that way? Victoria and Tim, should we let Gifty read first? Then you can organize yourself and join us. Okay, Gifty, read for us. Maybe Vicky is having challenges. I can't hear him yet. Yeah. Hear yet. Sure.
Relation of Okra into brackets soul and Honam into brackets body. The Akan conception of a person is thus dualistic, not tripartite. A person is made up of this, which is purely a spiritual, immaterial entity or substance, and the body, which is purely a material. Accounts hold that the relation between the soul and the body is interactional. The body
There we
and
go.
the
Hold on for a minute. Just a minute. When you hear interactional or interaction as the relation between soul and body, which Western thinker comes into your mind? Because we thought we're doing account, but all of a sudden, it looks like we are reminiscing or reflecting on some Western thinker, which author's name comes to mind? Where you hear body and soul and interaction. I want a chorus answer. Let me see if my people are there or they are asleep. When we discuss mind-body problem, Descartes, well done.
Descartes.
So it looks, yes, please, I've heard all of you now. Thank you all very much. So it looks like our Akan conception that Jechi is rendering may be getting influenced by what? Cartesian, that's from the word Descartes, so Cartesian, Ghana, so Ghanaian. It looks like there is a Cartesian influence in how soul, body, mind, body, see that is being interpreted. Maybe not, maybe yes. Let's hear what goes on. In the next line, please, go ahead.
Told that the relation between the soul, the body and the soul have a causal influence on another. This means that what happens to the soul reflects on the body and vice versa. They believe that the soul is lodged in the head, although the truth is not.
Pause for a minute. Again, who tells us that the interaction between mind and body occurs in the pineal gland? Is that not something like what we read from Descartes? I hope you can see that. And so it looks like the relation of Okra and Honam that Jechi renders. Jechi's view is supposedly Akan, but we think that it is heavily influenced, not we think, it seems that it is heavily influenced by Cartesian thinking. So Cartesian dualism is at play. Did you see that? Dual. Cartesian interactionism is there. That's why Jechi doesn't think that the current conception of a person is a materialistic one, neither an idealist one. He says it is dual. That sounds like Descartes. Is there a sheer coincidence? Maybe. So we continue. Then we come to meet interaction, that they causally affect each other. They are two different substances, even where there is a mention of sunsum. The sunsum is some way, somehow made an appendix of a kind to the okra, so that there will be just one entity, immaterial, and one entity, material, to sound dualist and therefore seemingly, equal, akin to Western thought, Cartesian one, especially. See? So we see dualism of two substances, even where three functionally different substances are mentioned. They are seemingly made to fit into a two world kind of metaphysics. Then I'm trying to show you why someone may read a heavily westernized thinking into the Akan conception given by Jechi, the person that is given by Jechi. Okay, that's what I'm helping you do. So there's dualism, there's interactionism, there is the mention of the pineal gland. If they interact, like Descartes says. Jechi also goes further to say the soul, which is now seemingly mind, non-physical part, is lodged in the head. That is not typically Descartes. You see how we say nitinye. Nitinye. Those who don't speak Twi, T means head. When they want to say someone is unfortunate, they will say nitinye. They don't say nensanye. They don't say his hand is not good. They say niti. Nitinye kura. Oh, this guy. And it is not his eye, still on the head. It's not his doing. So it looks like perhaps that she's not wrong. It's just strange that those two different thinking frames, Western thought and Akan thought, seem to reconcile or seems to have a lot in common, maybe, or rather that someone is imposing another thought onto the other by the way they are reflecting on Akan thought. That would be your work to do. You are the thinker. Okay, to be able to tell. So the last point that Madam read on the screen says they believe that the soul is lodged in the head, although they could not specify exactly where in the head. I think that Descartes was explicit that it is in the pineal gland. And Akan says it is in the head. but it may be speculated to be in the region of the brain. Where else would it be? In the head? Would it be inside the eyes or something? Now you got that. So we can, I think we have just one slide left, and I patiently engaged it for a reason. If I want to rush, I would have finished this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But I didn't want to just have to read slides to you or just scratch surface. I want you to have a living content of the slide. That's why I'm talking around it like that. And we didn't rush it, okay? Because last week we didn't engage, then I come and do, no, I don't do that. We are taking our time to make sure you got the trust of the content, even though it's not too heavy a content, okay? So this will be the last slide for that topic. I think Vicky can still do it. I know it's Gift reading now, and Vicky can do the next. Go ahead, Vicky. Why is the question of the composition of man important? Read it.
Of the composition of man important. Testimonies from people have been subjected to testimonies from people who have been subjected to physical treatments for months and even years, who have been healed through the activities of traditional healers, seem to presuppose a belief in the dualistic conception of a person and an interaction between the body and the soul.
So they tell you, go and bring the person's, don't worry, bring the person's fingernails or something about the person so that we use it to do a visa. A visa means they go for an inquiry. I am an about Christian, a charismatic one, a tongue so no worries. I everything or living. The Jesus came to drop water, they pool there, and then when they leave and someone falls inside, the person gets hit. When Jesus came, it was happening. He was asking the guy, do you want to be well? He says, I don't have anyone to put me in the water. They said, do you want to be well? He said, I don't have any I don't have anybody to put me in the water when the angels come to stay. Jesus didn't say angels don't come to stay. He just thought that while we were using Nokia 3310, I am iPhone, whatever, 15 Pro Max, you said it. You are still thinking Nokia 3310. I am Blender. You are interested in Akan. So it's possible that what these folks believe in, and I put them on your screen, are working. Because there are evidences. Plenty instances where someone goes to the radio station, is doing very well. I mean, he has a nice voice. The next 2 days, he comes and when he speaks, his voice is gone. Hello, good morning, ladies. No medicine, no therapy. You are employed and you are getting all the fame because of the voice that speaks. Now the voice is gone. And they tried everything medically. It is not working. My friend will say, working, I work. It's not working. Listen, then they bring this person from the Western world there, where he or she is doing, and bring them back home. And grandma, grandpa, often because they are well, versed in years, just go to the so and so and go and get me so and so help. I won't mention any. Don't want to make any popular. But here I buy with them to wake up. Yeah, wake up. Bring me this. Bring me through. Add this. Put them together and put it in the dudu that pot. Boil it for 3 days. Give it to him. That simply means we are going to touch this sickness that has come, that has prevented the person's voice from being heard. We are going to touch it with the thing is not the double. Is what? Somebody tell me, what is a chiwadia in English? How do you say that? How do you say a chiwadia in English? Anybody, please unmute and help me. Do you understand? Otherwise, I'll say the things a chiwadia and continue. What the thing doesn't like. Okay, so if it is rat, you can put some. If it's mosquitoes, you put repellent, something that repels it. It doesn't. So whatever it is that has given the person the sickness and has taken away his or her voice, there is something else that this new sickness doesn't like. Grandpa will say, after 3 days, the voice will go back and go and do your work. And after 3 days, the voice comes back. Something that has supposedly come in the non-immaterial world. It is dealt with by touching the physical body. Sometimes they say the woman is not giving birth because somebody has done her something. They say bring fingernails or something. Let's go and check. Oh, you showed Johnny Bravo when you were dating Johnny Bravo. After all the school fees Johnny paid for you, you left him. So Johnny went and did you something. So they have tied, listen, they tied your crack somewhere. Or your sons, whatever. Anytime you're going to have wedding, rashes will come on your skin. I'm trying to show you a causal connection, which people believe. We are talking the metaphysics of people, people's conception of how things are when it comes to the human person. So the rashes that come on your skin whenever you are going to marry, 3 days, some strange, it will come on your physical body like that. No triple action cream can take care of it. It doesn't go. They take your lab, they take it to some renowned place, this lab technicians, they investigate, they don't see anything. Any infection, no fungal infection, no viral infection, no bacterial infection, but the thing spreads all over your body and turns you into some caricature. See, then the guy leaves you. When the guy leaves, 2 months, 3 months, all the rashes disappear. That has happened consistently maybe for 7 guys. It is a physical thing on your body, but the diagnosis can be done according to these traditional healers from the non-physical. And so it is important because the people believe that there's a causal connection. So it is you can have a physiological or a psychological interpretation as well. If people are playing football and they're not doing too well, sometimes the coach will just call them in and talk some charisma into them. That's English. When we talk, Akan, we say, you speak to you two at this, you speak to the person's and then all of a sudden the personality is energized. They go back to the field and they are playing differently and they win. It's a winning mentality. And so the thing may be physical, but it's having a non-physical impact, or it may be non-physical and maybe having physical impact. And that is why we cannot overlook that and think that, oh, this one is nothing. The person has been given a tupe. Those who know tupe. They shot a person is in Ghana and has finished you wherever you are in Europe. Your stomach has become a man and you are pregnant. And no medication is treating it until they bring you back home to come and apologize. The way you spoke to grandpa, that's old. Why am I using the because they are well vexed. Yes, we have to be careful how we handle them. I don't really believe in those, but I don't think it is not there. Something can be there, you don't believe in it. If you want to try it, go and touch the electricity with your wet hands. The naked white, touch it. Your hand and go and touch it. Don't believe that there's electricity. Touch it and let's see. Maybe I don't touch. If I don't believe it, I won't go and touch it. I will live my life. Okay, so that is the summary of this slide, and then we are done. And then I read through from the beginning, testimonies all the way to the end, therapy. I said everything there. Go ahead. Gifty, go read for me, then we can do Vicky when we start the last one.
Proliferation of spiritual healers.
Please read from the beginning. Read from the beginning, testimonies.
Testimonies from
because
people,
I interrupted you.
Testimonies from people who have been subjected to physical treatments for months and even years, who have been healed through the activities of traditional healers, seem to presuppose a belief in the dualistic conception of a person, an interaction between the body and the soul. The proliferation of spiritual healers, malams and pastors or prophets presupposes belief in a dualistic composition of a person and an interaction between the body and the soul. Understanding why certain diseases cannot be healed by the application of physical therapy.
Very good. So perhaps, as for thinkers, that is what we do. We leave the question open. Perhaps that ailment may not be going because it is not the, I know that sometimes the okra, which is cat now, I'm talking about the cat. You see the way the name, there's a similarity in the name of the cat, the animal called cat. It is called okra. See how that name is similar to the okra of a person. So sometimes even animals take up the death of the other person. Someone may be sick at home, and then before you know it, your pet, if you treat it well, especially the cat, before you find out the cat has knocked down the cat or it has died after the pen coop somewhere. And that we are all, designer people, international, KFC, WhatsApp babies. We don't see those things. Maybe if it happens, we don't even take note. But remember that also. Okay? So the whole point is because of that possibility of an interaction between your sunsum and your kra and the honam, you can't always overlook that seeming interaction. Okay. We could have expanded the discussion to talk about totems. So what does the mother contribute and what does the father contribute to the being of a child? You know that so the mother gives the moja, that's the blood, the father gives the tro or the to. Those are not, when you want to go into those details, you can do personhood, and then it can help you see why you are your father's daughter and somebody is their mother's son. And why sometimes, depending on which traditional settings you are dealing with, even the marriages and the kind of belief systems don't cohere. Okay. If my totem, for example, and I said, this is not what you believe in, this is people's worldview. You have to know it, even if you don't believe it. No, and that's how the person thinks. It helps you be tolerant, and you know how to negotiate those concerns. Okay, if the person's totem, for example, I'm just giving it's water. I don't know any in Ghana like that. And another one is fire. How will you ever meet? You think about it. When water appears where you the fire, you will shine. See, as soon as water comes there, it will quench fire. Unintentionally. It's not intentional. So if the person holds that belief, as soon as the two of you are part of a team working on a project, you see that that person will not shine. So it is as if you have sat on the person and preventing the person's aura, the sunsum, from shining. And so you will see that there are people when their mothers say, you can't marry this lady, or you this woman, this man, you can't marry, and stuff like that. You can't inherit from here. We don't want such a person from so and so place. They are all sometimes coming from such antecedents. You see, it doesn't make it right or wrong. You just should know, so that you can also know the argument that you can raise. If my totem is a dog, whichever your totem is a bird, dogs can do they hawk. Let's use hawk and chicken. How can we cohabit? So the elderly folks who are so entrenched in these understandings are sometimes repulsive to certain things. If you understand it and are able to show them that, oh, this is just a way of identifying, like the Ghana flag, yeah, they are there, no, but we shouldn't read too much. Maybe you may be able to convince them. Than saying that I have seen the one that I love, and me, I'm doing, yeah, there are evidences that point to certain things. And so I just want to leave it at that and leave the rest for your intriguing minds to explore if you want to. There are long essays you can do, there are thesis areas you can use the idea from here together with your understandings in other disciplines, politics. I've heard that the current political lead of one of the political parties says, normally by now I should have mentioned my advice, but give me some time. There can be physical and empirical reasons for that. There could also be spiritual reasons for that. So when people always want to rubbish the non-physical, the immaterial like that, I laugh. Not for Africa, especially, and not for the current system. In fact, not even for the Western Well, that's okay. So finally, on our screen now, although the body and soul interact, they are separate entities. So we ought to be careful not to spiritualize everything. That is important. Mosquito bite, now mosquito bite. If you stand there and talk tongues, malaria will kill you, and maybe you may make it to heaven. And at the entrance, you get a slap from Angel Gabriel. As you come to you and say, "Upa, para." Malaria cry. They are tetanate and modern. I I end my Akan concept of a person. This one was for personal identity. Any questions for this one? Then the very last bit, we will move that one to up quickly. Victoria, please, do you have a question, or it was what you wanted to read for me? Okay, then we can quickly. Are you ready to read now, my dear Vicky? Okay, so I will quickly pull that one out from your resource too. And then we will see on the certainty one. Dr. Wachi also gave us some, I asked him to look at the slides, and if he thinks he wants to do some topic, maybe I should present his. I know mine easily, so I'll present his, and then if I have to add something, I'll do that. We should be able to do that in some few minutes. And I think you're doing well with it. So I'm at your Sakai now, getting your resource on the question of certainty. I know that we went to earlier class. What did you learn from that? The question of knowledge and certainty. Do you want to share? Class Rep John. Are you with us, John?
Yes, Madam.
Okay. Did you do the problem of knowledge versus certainty?
Madam, please. No, yesterday I was diagnosed, so I couldn't
Oh, it
go
wasn't
through
yesterday.
there.
It wasn't yesterday. I'm
No,
talking about today's class. But you had a class with
I'm
Dr.
saying that
Wachi today, or
yes, but I didn't join.
you couldn't join today. Okay, no problem. That's why you are here. So you are still filling in the gap. Did anyone join? I just want to make sure that we are par. I don't want too many disparities for your own sake. Okay, at least the reference point. As for the elaborations, they will be different. So if anybody joined today's class, could you fill me in on what you did briefly, so we can make sure we are doing that? Anybody joined the earlier session? None of you? Sarah, were you in the first class online today? Hello, Cyril. Were you in the first class? Or Cyril is busy now? Oh dear. You won't be able to tell. Okay, so let's look at our slides. At least we can speak to the slide. Vicky, are you ready to read for me? If not, I can take someone else. Very quickly, pal, okay? That we end. We all want to rest. So I'm projecting now the slides on the question of the problem of certainty. Okay. For your level. We won't do too much beyond what you should know. Okay. On my screen now, we see the problem of certainty. It's not just the problem of knowledge, the question of knowledge, which you did in level 100. We are looking at it is now problematic when we want to establish certainty. Who wants to read for me, please? John, are you able to read for me, please?
Yes, yes.
You may read. Okay.
Okay.
John.
The problem of set. Hello.
Okay, there's another hand.
Madam,
Abdul Rashid Samira. Okay, let me take Samira now. Samira now. Okay. Samira, Edwin's hand is up as well.
Okay. But should I
Yes.
read? Should I start? The problem of
Yes,
certainty.
of knowledge. Samira, yes, please.
The question of knowledge. What? How? Justification.
Well done. So let's look at this. Please go ahead.
Recall. The question of knowledge. 1. What is knowledge? Into bracket justified, true, believe, bracket close. The statement, I know the lecturer, means you believe it. It is true. There is a lecturer, and you can justify your true belief. Support with
Very good.
evidence.
Okay, so let me quickly explain that. Thank you very much. When I say it's just a recall, I want you to remember in level 100, we learned the question of knowledge. And we said when we say we know, the word to know means that's the traditional understanding we have for the word knowledge. It is a belief that is true and you can offer justification for. See that? So if you believe is true, it means it is there. And you can offer justification for it. Okay. So for example, when I say I know the lecturer, see I'm using the word know. When I say I know the lecturer, by this traditional notion of knowledge, when I say I know the lecturer, it means I'm saying I believe what I'm saying. What I'm saying is true, that there is a lecture, there is. And I can give you evidence, a justification for my claim of what? Knowledge, that true belief. How do we know? You know that already. I don't want to waste too much time on that. Because even when we're doing a mind-body problem, we saw the sources of knowledge and how it is then that Locke and Berkeley are empiricists and how Plato and Descartes are rationalists. We are just recounting the same thing. So Madam will just read through it and we move on. My lady, please read this for me. It's just so that the special students can see. Yeah, right, can hear.
2. How do we know? Traditional philosophy identifies two main sources of knowledge. A. Senses. Seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, collectively referred to as experience, empirical source. So philosophers who hold the view that experience is the true and ultimate source of all knowledge are described as empiricists. They include John Locke, David Hume, Bishop Berkeley.
I won't say anything again in addition to that. I think that is self-explanatory. We can look at the next source of knowledge. That is where we get knowledge from. Go on, my lady.
B. Mind, not brain. Into bracket, intellect, soul, spirit, etc. That is the non-physical part of a body, collectively labeled as reason or rational source.
So that's another way of saying
philosophers,
the immaterial part. Okay, the immaterial part, the non-physical part. Okay, so philosophers like.
So philosophers who hold the view that reason is the true and ultimate source of all knowledge are described as rationalists. They include Plato, Descartes, and Spinoza.
Well done. So we know the first question, what is knowledge? Sure. What is knowledge? How, and then the second question was, how do we know, or better still, how do I answer? What is the source of our knowledge? That was the one that we just dealt with. Now we are on the third one. How do we give evidence to support our claims? How do we justify our claims of knowledge? That's the third part of the question of epistemology. Okay, go on, Alex.
How do we justify our knowledge claims? This is the most central question of epistemology. How do we support, ground, or justify the claims of knowledge that we make? What will constitute a solid ground for our claims of knowledge? Whereas rationalists rely on mind, not brain, as a solid justification, empiricists rely on experience, senses. The contention then is which of the sources gives the ultimate and true justification of our knowledge claims?
Hey, you read well. Oh. Who is reading like that? My sister, what's your name again? Is
Samira.
Samira? Hey, you read very well. Oh. That, have you been reading for me in class?
Yes, twice.
I don't even know. In class. So I know you.
It's true. In class, yeah, no.
Physically, I want to see your face. In class, yeah, no.
Okay.
You are reading very well, and it is helpful to the rest of the class. Maybe I will dodge it. Azuma John, take note of this lady. When I'm looking for someone to read, call her. Everybody is doing well, but I think she's doing excellently well. It's because of how the slides are, the notes are, but she's able to capture them. Now take note, so rationalists, empiricists are talking epistemology. You know it already. And they were trying to give reasons why the justification of our claims of knowledge should be based, either rooted in rational source or empirical source. Now, there are some important terminologies here that help us to see what the problem of certainty is. Being certain, not just knowing, but certainty. That takes us to analytic synthetic. These introductions, you will need them now. So that just in case you pursue as the department further, you pursue your philosophy further in rationalism or analytic, modern analytic, and whatever, you have these basics. What is the problem of certainty that we want you to make a note of? Understand these important terminologies, and then we can set it up nicely for you. Whether there can be synthetic knowledge, that is acquired a priori. That this one is rationalism. But just the introductory bit is what I'm giving. There we go. Can we have knowledge about existence that we know independently of existence? In other words, can we have, I didn't say it well, can we have knowledge about experience that is known without the help of experience? Can we have something that speaks about actual existence of things, and yet we got to know it without the five senses? Is it possible? Well, some say yes, some say no. So just understand, let's take synthetic, a priori, and a good for you to prepare for life ahead. Okay, so let's take those ones. I cut it from rationalism slides. I just put it here. Sister, read some important terminology.
Important terminology. Analytic, into brackets, relations of ideas. A statement whose predicate is already contained in the subject. It is a logical or linguistic truth, so non-informative. Necessary truth, true by definition. Logical structure, meanings. Tautologies or tautologies or redundancies.
Hey, redundant. Hey. That's your
Example.
new name from redundant. And
example.
I never call you redundant, you want
I did hear that. Example, all backing dogs back. A is A. A square
yes.
is four-sided.
Yes, very good. Now, everyone listen. I will just simplify this for you, for your level. We need to know these terminologies because it will help us see how we come to know and how we justify our claims of knowledge. Okay. So if I told you that the bachelor next door, I am a tenant, and someone who is also a tenant living next door to my house is a bachelor. If I told you, you are the landlady. I said, Madam Samira, you know that the bachelor living next door yesterday nearly killed his wife. The way he was beating his wife. What does that tell you? A bachelor beating his wife mercilessly. That is already false. So dogs, you see, so dog, but sometimes when we talk, we don't mean wife, like you don't mean what you are saying. That is why the judge may ask the other lawyer and throw the case out. You see, the judge has taken back. You came to tell the judge that bachelor has beaten his wife, his own wife. You have evidence, a dossier, plenty paper, video, camera. Well, the sister's mouth is falling out. No problem. All her teeth have removed. But what did you say? You say the man is a bachelor. And that he has beaten his own wife. These are the pictures. What should the judge do? Bachelors cannot beat their wives. That claim is not possible. By analysis, Sister Ready to look on, by the analysis of the statement, we analyze it, we relate the ideas to each other, and it tells us immediately that what you are saying can never be true. Because if the guy is a bachelor, by the definition by the meaning of the term bachelor. He cannot be a bachelor and be able to beat his wife at the same time. Do you see the point? So if you know analytic statement, you cannot say, me, I've never been to city campus. Me, I've never been there. Because we are investigating a missing laptop. Say me, and it got missing at city campus. One of them. Say me, I've never been there. You see, but however, that day when I went to city campus, me, I didn't touch the laptop. You see the problem with that statement? I have never been to city campus before in my life. However, that day when I went there, I didn't touch the laptop. You will be sentenced. You have nothing to do with the laptop, but the way you spoke, by analyzing the statement, what you have said is already false. If you have never been there, how did you at the same time go there but not touch it? When we listen to the court hearing, and I don't want to say that specific thing because of this thing is recorded and placed, I don't want to pick on people's family. If it's at the lecture, I said, you were not in the room when the counting was done. And yet when you were there and they counted the thing, they didn't let you sign. You see that by analysis, analytic truth, that is what you will do in deductive logic. Second semester, you do element of formal logic, God willing. Then level 300, if you're still with us, you do deductive logic. How to deduce? You don't need to go there. You can be in Ghana here and be a consultant to a multi-billionaire, something, somewhere in Canada or whatever. And just by analyzing the data, you are a lawyer, you have to do an analysis of what is in front of you. You can tell the truth or falsity. We are discussing the problem of certainty. See that? We are showing you certain claims of knowledge that have necessity, logical necessity attached to them. We call them analytic truth. What do they mean? It's because of how the statement is made. That lady wearing suit sitting at the back there is totally naked. This is a church, the usher protocol. Oh, Pastor, say, sister, no, she's suit. That's sister wearing suit. What has she done? She's totally naked. Really? Totally wearing suit and totally naked is a lie by analysis. So I showed you analytically false statement. It will always be false, whether in heaven or hell, whether in this world or the world to come. By the logic of it, by the language of it, by definition, by logical structure. Analytic statements are either always true or always false. So some examples of always true statements. I gave you a good number of always false statements, which are all analysis by the language, by definition. What about if I said all barking dogs bark? That is necessarily true. If I say they are barking dogs, see, then they will bark. All barking chichis bark. We don't know what chichi is. We don't even know whether any chichi exists. But if they are barking chichis, I said so. I'm saying they are barking chichis. Then all barking chichis will bark. By the meaning of barking. You said they are barking birds. If they are barking birds, then they will bark. By the language of it, see, so by the meanings, definitions, logical structure, you are able to tell the truth or falsity of that statement. So you will see then that Samira just read it for us. If you have an analytic statement, the predicate and the subject are not different. Kofi is a footballer. If I say Kofi is a footballer, Kofi is a subject, it's a footballer, is a predicate. Here, the predicate is different from the subject. The predicate is telling you something about, I'm moving to the next of the screen, please. Don't get distracted. Tell the Gobesela to wait. Online class, people will be at Gobe joint and they are listening to online. Let it wait. This one, I have to get it. Listen. I have moved from analytic statement. I've gone to synthetic now. I'm going to show you. If I say Kofi is a footballer, the subject is Kofi. The predicate is a footballer. Kofi may also be a brother, and Kofi may be a son, and Kofi may be a pianist. These are all different informations about Kofi. I just picked one of them to tell you. I said Kofi is a footballer. I'm not defining the meaning of Kofi. I am not giving you something that is true by definition, no. Or logical structure, no. I just told you an information about Kofi that is not entailed in the subject. So the subject is Kofi, the predicate is a footballer. So the predicate is a footballer, amplifies, adds to the subject. It says something more about the subject. That's why that statement is synthetic. You need to go and observe to establish the truth or falsity. If I say A is a bachelor is an unmarried adult male. What I mean by a bachelor is the same as what I mean by an unmarried adult male. That's a bachelor. See that? So a bachelor is an unmarried adult male. I didn't add any new thing to the subject. When you advance, you see that you can bridge the gaps. There are contentions around. But for now, you have to understand the main lines. Don't worry. Because a degree in the university is also called a bachelor. But that is client's headache, level 400. For now, chill. If I say a bachelor, I mean an unmarried adult male. So if I say a bachelor is an unmarried adult male, I just give you an analytic statement, which is always true, a tautology. If I had said a bachelor has beaten his wife, that would be analytically false, a self-contradiction, always false. Are you following? Yes. But what about if I say a bachelor is eating banku under the tree? I'm not defining bachelor. I am giving you information about the subject. So the predicate in a synthetic statement adds to the subject. Look at the examples. Samira, read this one. It's like synthetic.
Synthetic. Matter of fact, a statement whose predicate adds to the subject. It is informative, informs us about reality, but it is not logically certain. It is not a definition. It does not depend on meanings or relations of idea for truth. Example, it will rain tomorrow. Bas
Very good.
Bas will
Basa.
win the match.
That's Basa.
Hey.
That's how you write Basa. Okay. How do you write Basa? How do you say Bas?
Basa will win the match. Dogs back. A is B,
Yeah.
etc.
Very good.
Note,
etc.
Note that the predicate amplifies the subject, not just repeats it.
Very good. When we have an analytic statement, dear, the predicate only repeats the subject. But when we have synthetic statement, the predicate doesn't repeat. Barcelona footballer, is that Barca?
Okay.
Listen. So I have braided my hair when I came to class. Sorry. I went to borrow extra hair. I took something outside of what I naturally have. See, it's a synthetic hair. This is why. Synthetic because I go outside of the original. So what I am adding is different from what is originally there. Or you have a synthetic statement, the subject. So if I said Nancy is a lecturer, the subject is Nancy. The predicate of that statement is what? A lecture. And then I've used I've used is to join them together. Is called a copula. It marries the population. So subject, predicate, and then a copula, the one that puts them together. Now, if I say Nancy is a lecturer, I haven't repeated the meaning of Nancy in a lecture. No, I just told you something about Nancy. Because there are other things about Nancy that haven't been captured. I didn't define the meaning of Nancy. Because Nancy is a lecturer, but Nancy is also a mother, and she's a daughter, and she's a sister, and she said this, and she said, I see that. So Nancy is a lecturer. It's only one of the informations I gave you. It's synthetic. I didn't repeat myself. Look at the one that says, a bachelor is an unmarried man. I just repeated myself. I repeated, a square is a four-sided figure. What did I say different? I just wasted your ears. Critical thinking is being critical about your thinking. What did I say? Nothing. Development is when you develop the nation and embark on developmental project so that the nation becomes developed, like the developed nation. You are a philosopher. You should see that's a secular thing. It's tautologos. The person didn't say anything new. You just wasted your ears. If you are the news anchor, you have to tell him, please, you have said a lot. Well done. People are proud. Can you tell me what you have? But I just said nothing. critical. It's a critical thinking is to think critically about your thinking. Yeah, it's very so. And why? Because it's a redundancy. I'm explaining analytics. See that redundancy means you didn't add anything. Those who get laid off at the office, they say redundancy at job. When they are included, they don't add anything. When you take them out, nothing is deficient. They can't keep paying you like that in the office. Well, I refuse redundancy on anybody's life. You are very relevant. Okay, so redundant means the predicate of that statement didn't add anything to the subject. That's analytics. Whilst when the statement is synthetic, this one, then it means you gave me some information, you amplified the subject. You said something else that makes me know the subject better than I knew it. I didn't just repeat the predicate. See that? So synthetic analytic statements are dealing with the nature of the statement. Whilst, there we go. Everyone keep looking on your screen. I've done very well. But I think the content is also delivered in a simplified way, so you should be able to grab it. Okay. Whilst when we talk a priori, a posteriori, don't worry about those big words. You're saying we are managing it. We haven't complained about your big say. Let me go and look at some sayings. Very big. You mentioned them anyway. I'm coming. Pause for reflection. Hey, class rep John. How do you pronounce? Is it Azuma or Azuma? Let me mention it. The other one, I won't try. I want to. Hey, did I pronounce it, my brother? I'll crucify your saying. John, are you there?
Yes, please. I'm there.
So if I write, I meet my own very long. Bar 4, say bar 4, say bar 3, say bar 2. We manage so. Someone say jumpy. I said, my friend, don't joke with me. I say jumpy. Say we will manage. So a priori and a posteriori. When you see your class rep John, you have my permission. Call him a priori. You can call Gifty 2 is my friend, so she won't be offended. Call Gifty 2 a posteriori. After the exam, when you pass your exam and get your A, you can forget about it. For now, feel free. So you don't forget. Analytics synthetic, you are looking at subject and predicate. A priori, a posteriori, you are looking at how we come to know, not what the nature of the statement is. Okay? So on our screen now, that will be the last one that we can go. On our screen, sister is going to read a priori and a posteriori. After I tell you, simply, prior to, I know that truth before experience, prior to the senses coming in. So when you told me that you have never been to City Campus, yet that day when you went there, no, you didn't touch the laptop, I will know already without seeing, touching, hearing, tasting. I don't have to go to City Campus. I don't have to look at the evidence that neighbor Nancy is going to show to landlady Samira. I don't have to look at any evidence. When Nancy comes to tell me that the bachelor next door has meeting his wife, and she says, I'm going to bring you pictures. Video camera, the sister's teeth that fell down, and all those things. The landlady, if she is a smart one, doesn't need that. He has to ask Nancy to correct what she said. Because that one, if you take it anywhere, as soon as you called him a bachelor, you vindicated him. He will be discharged. Because bachelors cannot beat wives. Their own wives, I mean. The bachelor has beaten his own wife. As soon as you wrote that down, when you go, the judge will say to the case and say, case dismissed. Is there any other case? If not, you say, hey, bribe. Bribe? The man is so insensitive. Insensitive? Who wrote the thing down? By your words. If he's a bachelor, cannot beat his wife. Remember, that was what? An analytic statement. How do we know the truth value of an analytic statement? We know it's a priori. See how you connect them. And then the one that you have to see, have to hear, have to touch or taste or smell to know the truth value. We call it a posteriori. It depends. It is posterior to experience. If I say it is raining at Tema, or tomorrow it will rain. How do you know that? Wait and see. So we'll wait for the evidence. The meteorology says it will rain tomorrow. We have the IE tomorrow. That woman doesn't like rain. I'm praying that it will rain so that the IE doesn't come. Or Barca, Barcelona will win the football match tomorrow. That is a synthetic statement. It is not what? Analytic. It's not a definition. So it's synthetic. How do we establish the truth or falsity of such synthetic statement? We do that a posteriori. See that? We depend on experience to establish that. How do we know that it is raining at Tema? The statement "it is raining at Tema" is not analytic, it's synthetic. When we want to know how we come to know it, we know it a posteriori. Okay? So then it will tell you that it will seem then, look on my screen, that all analytic truths are known a priori and all synthetic truths are known a posteriori. But then I leave it at that. When you get to rationalism, we'll build on it. All analytic truths seem, it's just a seeming categorization that if it is an analytic, language-based truth, then we'll know it prior to experience. And if it is information-giving statement, then we are likely going to know it by experience. Analytic, a priori, synthetic, a posteriori. But Kant will bring the possibility, Kant and rationalist like him. He's not rationalist and he's not empiricist. Clearly, he's a Kantian. You'll see why later. You just need to know what the problem of certainty that we have tried to capture is. The problem is, how is it possible at all to have a synthetic truth? So it is not a definition, it's synthetic. Yet we know it prior to experience. So is it possible to have a synthetic a priori truth? That means a statement that is not a definition. It's informative, yes. God exists. There is life after death. That it is wrong to kill indiscriminately. Whenever you throw a ball up, it will come back. Principle of causality. Everything that happens must have been caused by something. Everything that happens must have been caused by something. That is also an instance of what? A synthetic truth, because it's not a definition. And yet, they are all synthetic, but they seem to be necessarily true. Not sometimes true, sometimes no, but always true. We thought always true is a feature of what analytic statement because of the language, the naturalized and a married adult that will always be true. We thought that is the case for analytic statement. How is it then that it seems possible to have a synthetic truth, yet we can know it with a priori certainty? That is the problem. We just set up the problem. You don't need to engage it. But see where the problem, know the background, how we come to know the two branches of knowledge, sources, rationalist, empiricist. We go further to see what the heartbeats are. Then we introduce some terminology to help you see when a statement is analytic, when it is synthetic, and then we said sometimes we when not sometimes when the statement is analytic, it looks like it has a priori certainty. We know it prior to experience, and when it is synthetic, we know it's a posteriori. But it seems that we can have an analytic truth that we know a priori, no problem. At the same time, the synthetic truth, also known a priori. Rationalists will say, yes, that's good news for us. It tells us that there are things we know without the help of the senses. It makes the rationalists feel okay. But empiricists say no. If it is synthetic truth, or back to what experience, because the ideas that we use are ultimately sourced from experience. Let's pause here and take your rest. And then when we meet again, God willing, next week, we'll mop up nicely like we've done today, all the way from John Locke consciousness. Because last week he did I, so the pressure is high. And we mop up nicely. And then we did the Akan concept of a person. We related it nicely to practical life. And we have chopped it up with the problem of certainty. Done a good cover of it. If I meet you next week, I'll do maybe a 10 minutes of what wanted you to fill in the gaps with. and then we are good to go. Thank you very much. Any questions, please? Thank you so much, Amira, and everyone who read. Amira, you have to let me know you. Any question? Emilia, is there a question you wanted to read for me? Emilia, your hand is up. Was it to read, or you have a question?
Yes. No question.
Oh, okay. You wanted to read. Thank you so much. Let's record it. Okay. So I'll pull this recording, the link, hopefully before I leave office, and share it. I am not on WhatsApp today. My phone is totally off. So if someone was sending me a message, or if any one of you sent a message, I have not responded because of that. By morning, I'll feedback on all WhatsApp concerns if I have my phone back. Okay, so you can prompt your colleagues or the platforms in case someone has asked something and I haven't responded. It's not intentional. Have a wonderful week. Take everything in your stride, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Be focused. That is what is important. This is end of week 9. We are entering into week 10. At this stage, you are mopping up your content. The few topics left is just a quick mopping up. What has been gathered is so much. So you have done 9 weeks out of 12. So your attitude should be mopping up, filling in some gaps. Your discussions in group should be trying, oh, the mind body problem, this one, what, sir. That is what builds the confidence you need to prepare you for your final exam. I'm confident that you will generally do well. So all the best and take care. My regards to everyone. Okay. Bye for now.